Jared! 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 Oh, Jared, I need you. I need you right now.
What's up?
The guest for this month's Monroeville At Your Service is a no-show, and I need you to be the guest.
Well, how am I supposed to direct the show and also be on the show?
I have no idea, but you do all things well. Plus, you're the only department head who hasn't been featured on the show, so come on. I need you up now.
Well, I knew this day would come. Ready?
Yeah, let's go.
See you guys. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to this July 2025 edition of Monroeville At Your Service. I'm Alex Graziani, back in studio today after last month's excursion over to our Public Works facility. I'm happy to be here with Jared Robinson, our Director of Communications. Hi, Jared. Welcome for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, this is different for me today.
Yeah, it's really awesome to have the idea of the guy behind the camera finally getting you in front of the camera. And I'm not necessarily sure if you're camera shy, but we'll find out today.
We will.
Of course, I'm with which Jared, I'm not sure, the cloned or the real.
That's what the Q&A will reveal.
Yeah, we're going to find out. But I'm really glad that you're here. So, Jared, just talk a little bit about yourself. How long have you been with the municipality of Monroeville?
So I was part-time going back to 2012, and I was actually a camera operator for our government meetings. So it's kind of nice to be on this end of things now, where I'm down in the control room directing the cameras. But part-time from 2012 until 2020. So I got a full-time position right at the height of COVID, May of 2020.
And I feel like we're just scratching the surface and all that we look to do in the future. But let's go back a little bit to the beginning where you and I met. When I got to Monroeville, it was just really big and a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. But really the most exciting discovery was you and your department. I think when I interviewed here, I realized there was videoing of the meetings and so forth, but I didn't realize there was a TV station here. So talk a little bit about that. What is in Monroeville TV and how did it come to be? So
from what I know, our channel was given to us from franchise agreement. So that goes back to the Cable TV Act of 1980, maybe early 80s. And so there's a spectrum of channels referred to as PEG. And so that stands for public access, which a lot of people have heard of. You know, there was the movie Wayne's World and such like that. Public access channels, education access for the E, and government access for the G. And so those channels are provided for the community from the cable operator, or cable providers, to have local community-based TV programs. And then the operators of those channels can kind of do what they wish within those parameters.
So it's fair to say for over 30 years, Monroeville, taking advantage of the franchise agreement opportunity and the channels available through the Cable Act, started to broadcast public meetings.
Right, yeah, that's always been kind of a core function of what we've done. So we don't have in Monroeville a public access station, but we do have the education access, which the school district Gateway, they manage that, and we manage the G part, the government access. And so yeah, the government meetings have always been a core part of our function. It's just something that we feel like provides a service, because our department, I always say, doesn't necessarily provide a direct service to residents, But in that way, that is an avenue that we kind of do provide a direct service because people are interested in what's going on. And, you know, that channel is kind of what it's there for, to be able to have that back and forth, that avenue and that transparency element.
Yeah, we have 28,000 residents, and they certainly can't all fit into the room to watch a meeting. And so you're able to, broadcast that live. When did we get onto YouTube and start to broadcast from that platform the recorded meetings and the recorded events?
Yeah, we were a little bit late in that aspect, but that did start prior to me. So that's probably maybe 2017, 2018 type of venture where we made our meetings available on YouTube. Prior to that, it was, DVD copies to the library. And so if you didn't catch it on cable, you would have to go find a copy at the library or send a note to us and we'd mail it. So that was kind of the extent for which residents could watch the meetings prior to our venture into YouTube.
Fascinating. So you joined with us in 2020. What were you doing before you came on board full-time here?
So I've been in video production, my entire career thus far, which we're approaching about 18, 19 years or so. So my first job I spent working for FSN Pittsburgh, Fox Sports Net. It's gone through a few different iterations of titles since then, but if you ever watch Steelers or Pirates games, I'm sorry, not Steelers, Penguins or Pirates games, that's the channel it comes on. So I worked with them, my first job from 05 to 09, and then I spent a bulk of my career actually working for the Steelers.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. And you were a graduate of Duquesne University.
Correct.
Were you a communications major?
Yes, yep,
Excellent.
Communications.
So, but you kind of were in the video side of it and doing production and trying to work in those teams.
For sure, always. Like I said, always a part of video production. Has kind of always been what I've done. So 10 years with the Steelers, and then a couple years I kind of did some stuff in the freelance space, and then that kind of got me to here.
Yeah, and it's a great background. It's just tremendous. And so for me, when I got here and realizing that there was a television station here, it was like a candy store. I was a kid in a candy store. I was so happy. I was like, I got to do some of this. I've been, as a manager, just always trying to figure out how to interact with residents and communicate all the good work that I see in local government. We have volunteer firemen and women. We have M.A.Y.S. We have police. We have public works. We have outstanding elected officials. We have boards and commissions and all of these groups, parade committees, and I can go on, who are tirelessly serving. And of course, in Monroeville, we have a animal control officer and an animal shelter. We have a senior center. We have a historical society. We have a great library. So we have all of these things, and it's like, how do we get that message out? And it's like we were separated at birth, man, because I'm thinking.
Right. It was a good mix.
I got here, and it was like,
good mix.
Not only were you here and you had all these talents and skill sets, but you were just ready to go. And I think within a month or two, I started in January 2024, and within a month or two, you and I are sitting down and dreaming, rebooting the Monroeville at Your Service program, which is what we're doing today. So talk a little bit about that and how that came from your perspective.
Right. So I will have to give kudos to the people who came before me, because you mentioned the term reboot. So this Monroeville at Your Service show was something that was done previously. They didn't get it off the ground quite monthly like we were able to do, but the name and that show kind of did previously exist. But I thought it was the perfect way to kind of reboot that show. And like you mentioned, we have a vast array of things that we can showcase. And so the show format, this show, just kind of gave us a way to be able to do that. And so you mentioned separated at birth. We were a good mix, like kind of right off the bat, because I was chomping at the bit to do more things, just do more. And so when you came on board, I always refer to it as that manager muscle. So you kind of got behind it as well. We had similar visions. And, with that in mind, we were able to do a lot of things with obviously some more to come.
And it was an easy lift because, quite frankly, your talents and your care and concern for the community was evident and known before I got here. But when you started explaining to me your vision, it made sense, particularly as we undertook the strategic planning process where we looked at mission, vision, values, desired outcomes. It was like communications was a thread throughout all of that. And we kind of like kept talking and dreaming and said, you know what, we really need to transition it from the purely TV spot, if you will, which it has been its roots and its tradition, to become Monroeville's communications department.
Right, right. So again, similar shared thoughts, shared visions. And so I think where we were aligned is that we felt like there was so much more that we could communicate, and there's more vehicles now than just the cable TV side of things that we can communicate through. So we've been doing a lot on YouTube. We obviously talked about our social media platforms and things of that nature. And so we took a deep dive and are still in the midst of taking a deep dive in how we can explore to be able to communicate more and better with those platforms, because those platforms provide different things than what we've had prior. So we feel like, again, similar vision, we feel like that social media element is something we really want to be able to dive into more, to be able to communicate with our residents.
And it's been great. The elected officials have supported 100%. So we cast the department from a TV department to a communications department. You're our first communications director. The council is also, in the 2025 budget, enable us to hire a social media coordinator, which is a great, awesome thing. Another resource, another shoulder of the team to augment your part-time staff and your full-time staff, in the video production, but just in communications in general.
Right, and that's the key, really. That's kind of been my core mission since starting here. Is once I was really able to kind of get in here and understand all of the vast array of things that all of our people do, it's kind of untold. And so you either see or hear things when you're out and about deficiencies or problems or things of that nature. And sure, maybe there are those, but there are so many other things that are in the positive realm that people don't know about that can kind of maybe offset some of the things that might not be as advantageous. So again, one of my missions was just to highlight all of those things. I mean, public works and our public safety. I mean, we talk about it all the time in our parks and, just all of the many things that people do on a day-to-day basis that we can help amplify to show people what's going on. I think, again, it's part of the core mission of what I'd like to be able to do.
You came from a pretty fast-paced, almost a bit glamorous Hollywood kind of scene in the sports world with celebrity athletes and all of that great stuff to kind of mom and pop, local government. You're a family guy, you're married, you got a couple daughters, you live in the Monroeville community. What's that been like going from that world to a world where, we're pretty camera shy here, if you haven't noticed. And it's sometimes hard for us to want to be doing what you're wanting to do, which is get the message out.
So it's been extremely refreshing. That's kind of the word that comes to mind because, glitz, glamour, professional sports, it is that, but there's another side to it that always isn't as well liked. And so coming here was just refreshing. I knew that there was untapped potential here, and I wanted to get into that. And it provided me a way to be able to tell stories. That's one of the things I like to do as well. And so in professional sports, you're kind of hamstrung in a lot of ways due to rules, regulations, or just sheer number of people who are trying to do the same thing as you. But for here, it's almost like a canvas, almost like a blank canvas, so to speak. And so I was kind of able to come in and create and implement certain things. And it's been very rewarding thus far.
I'm always humbled every time I hear someone's background and get a sense inside their heart of why they do what they do, and tirelessly, and they really care. If people only could see what we get to see, and we can't wait to do that. So let's talk about, just quickly, a little bit about your vision. Where do you see us going in communications here in Monroeville?
Yeah, so for sure, the social media aspect is kind of my direct focus at this point, and to try to get us on those platforms more, because the way I see it is, we have to get our messages to where people are. So before, things were always kind of funneled through that TV space, and that was the foremost way that people kind of consume messages. Some other antiquated avenues as well, newspapers, magazines, that type of thing. All of those are, kind of outdated things. Still exist, still viable, but there's a certain groups of people who don't consume their media, get their messaging from those platforms. So I always thought it was best, instead of trying to force people into those traditional platforms, that we should kind of make sure we're providing messages and things for people on platforms to kind of meet them where they are. So obviously social media skews a little bit younger. And so, you know, when you have the, you know, mid-20s, maybe just started a family looking for a place to kind of call home, where are they learning about the places that they want to call home? What are the messages, and where are they going to find the information that they're seeking to make those life-changing decisions? And so, you know, the social media is kind of where a lot of people get messages. And so we want to make sure that we're on those platforms communicating those messages.
It's remarkable. I grew up delivering a newspaper, daily newspaper, and, you know, watching Bill and Patty Burns on KDK, and it was just 3 channels kind of in daily newspapers. We don't even have daily newspapers in the idea that they're actually delivered to your house. They might be online versions daily, but not even a print version daily. And we found in the most recent presidential elections and other kinds of national events that many more viewers, or many more people, voters, are getting their information outside the traditional newspaper, Newsweek, Time, that are delivered to your homes, or the TV stations. So it's really essential for us to be where people are getting their information here in Monroeville.
For sure.
So I'm really glad you've embraced that. Again, I talked a little bit about you as yourself. Any background things you want to share with us? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Johnstown, Flood City. Yeah, grew up in Johnstown, and went to Duquesne University, as you mentioned, and just kind of been in this area ever since.
Yeah, I feel like you're one of Monroeville's best hires, no doubt about it. It's
I
been a
appreciate
thrill
that.
for me to come here and discover all your talents and be able to get to see all of them. And never once, since I've been here, when I mention your name or kind of where we're heading with different things, have I gotten resistance, because you had the street credibility already. You didn't need me. You had that because your integrity, your tirelessness, you put in the long hours, and you're at all the events showing up and getting it done. And now you're building a great team, which is pretty exciting.
Right.
Jared, it's a privilege for me to be able to sit down with you.
I do have one last thing. I do have one last thing. So when we were kind of getting to know each other, you know, we were just having some conversation. You asked me a question, something to the effect of, who does what you do the best? And I think you were kind of surprised that I had an answer to that question. Do you recall that interaction?
Keep going.
And so, kind of, you were asking a little bit.
I know, because I want to challenge that to everybody, because I really want us to aspire to be the best version of Monroeville that we can be.
Right. So you were asking about some background. So about me is I've always been a competitive person. So the reason why I had an answer to that question is because I was surveying the landscape and across the country, literally. And so I stumbled across a community in Texas.
Red Rock? Right.
Round Rock.
Round Rock.
Yeah, in Texas, that I felt like was really doing the kind of local government video production thing really well. But just that competitiveness kind of always drove me. And so our department for the year of 2024 has been named the Overall Excellence Award for government access TV stations in the country, according to the Alliance for Community Media.
You're shocking me.
Are
you just making this up?
No, I'm not. I held it tight.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
awesome.
much. And if I can hijack the interview for just a moment,
Okay.
because nobody knew. So if I can hijack the interview for just a moment, I want to bring Zach. I want to come on into the camera frame. Come on into the camera frame. Come on in. What I tell you, my man. I told you we good. So here, Zach is our production assistant, and he's a man of excellence, but sometimes in that pursuit of excellence, he's blinded by it. But I always have to kind of talk him down and tell him to let him know he's doing good work.
Yeah.
And so he's done some really good things here, and he's kind of helped us reach that status.
I'm stunned but not, because I know the talent's here.
Yeah.
And that is an amazing, prestigious honor that you guys have garnered. Wonderful. Congratulations.
I told you we good. I told you we good, man. I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck
appreciate it.
editing the scuffles out of that hug. Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Love you, brother.
So I am extremely
I am
excited
too.
about that.
Great
Extremely
news.
excited. So just to kind of give a little background, we're members of the Alliance for Community Media, which is a nationwide group that advocates on behalf of that PEG spectrum that I mentioned before. And so every year they have an awards, they hand out awards that's part of their annual conference. And so they have a whole list of categories and such that you could submit. So again, the category we won is overall excellence for government access.
Wow.
That's the category we won.
Awesome.
So when I said the answer to the question is nobody, I can humbly say nobody's doing it better than us quite right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm extremely
You should be.
yeah, that's a big deal.
And I can think of so many people who had a hand in that.
For sure.
From a very supportive governing body, including Mayor Griesbach, who is constantly trying to figure out how to communicate well to the residents and to the hires they enable us to make. And of course, the investments they make in facilities and equipment to be able to do all this stuff.
Right.
But you're the guy. I mean, because from day one, I could tell you were chomping at the bit to want to get the message out that quality work is being done in the dispatch, the 911 center here, in the tax collection office, in parks and recreation, in the public works, and all of the elements from sign making to managing the street lights and refuse and all that, to the police, the detectives. There's so many units, our human resources and all the support services that we do to get 170 employees kind of moving and going. You were like, Alex, we got to work together to get this story out.
Right.
And you had vision, and you knew where you wanted to be, which you did have that answer quickly. Because I asked that a lot. So who do you aspire to be, and who are you trying to track because they're doing great work? And you had that answer. I mean, I went back to the office and Googled it.
I wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
And so just quickly, so again, it was Zach and I as full-time staff members. We mentioned we just brought another full-time staffer on, but I do want to make mention of our part-time staff, because we talked about the camera operators for the meetings.
Unsung heroes.
For sure, but what I did was I challenged some of them to aid us in some of our other ventures. And so some of them who were kind of eager and willing have helped us out in some of our other videos and productions and such, just kind of spilling outside of just the camera operator for meeting realm. I also do want to make mention of, for the calendar year 2024 is what this award was for. We also had a summer employee that spent the summer with us and provided us with some good material and some good content. And we also had an intern for the first time, at least that I'm aware of.
A high school student.
And she did really well also.
Yeah.
So it truly was a collective effort that kind of got us to that achievement. And again, I'm super proud.
Well deserved. I really mean it. I mean, if there's anybody that I've, again, met instantly here and thought, wow, there's excellence, it was you, Jared. Right away, you were a guy who knew what you wanted to do and how it could be done. And I like working alongside you because it really is a team. It's not about you're the great or I'm great or anything. It's together we make better work.
Right.
And that's how it rolls here. And I think it's going to be contagious. I know it is, because we're going to, with the social media, really democratize the staff and say, hey, staff, you got a story to tell. Whether it's as simple as seeing a bald eagle on a branch out in one of our parks and getting that on film, share that. There are people in Monroeville who are interested in seeing that content. And we can't be everywhere, right? You can't do it all. So we got to find ways to free that up. And that's the kind of vision you are. You're a sharer, in all the best sense of the word.
Right.
And that's what leaders do. They have ideas, they have vision, but they also share it so that others can get on board. And congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm thrilled.
thank you.
I can't
it was a lot to hold that in, because Zach didn't even know. I was thinking about.
I'm floored.
I was thinking about waiting till after I received the award and then maybe do something at a council meeting or something like that.
We'll definitely do something.
But then
at a council meeting.
once you asked me to be on, I was like, that might be the opportunity. So.
Well, congratulations. Thank you for taking the time to be on today.
For sure.
I love the work we get to do together, and it's been wonderful having you as the featured guest on July 2025 Monroeville at your service.
Thank you very much.
On the way next, look back at our wonderful 4th of July parade. Plus, I'll have the Manager's Minute on liberty and freedom. That and more when Monroeville at your service returns.
The hometown goes to Jared Robinson, director and MMTV production staff, from Monroeville Municipal Television, for the project titled The Best of MMTV in 2024.
Cleaning up the room was something she was here, and like we said, we travel this room basically a couple times a week, if not every day, so it's important to keep it.
Welcome back to the show. I'm a bit biased, sure, but I think our 4th of July parade is one of the best in the area. In a region with natural hilly topography, we've got a relatively straight, flat route going right through the heart of Monroeville, with plenty of parking for tailgating. It has varied sight lines for viewers and ends in a grandstand area with our convention center and mall serving as a backdrop. It's there where our cameras were set up to capture the event and turn a couple of hours long spectacle into a couple minutes long video.
This land was made for you and me.
And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air. Okay, we need applause. Joe Hizzy is also on our parade committee.
He is seeing Pat throw out some candy.
This is one of my favorite parts of the parade. She's a senior at Gateway. She's been on Distinguished Honor Roll. She's a member of the National Honor Society.
I'm here with Kara, the winner of the Miss Independent Scholarship Contest. Kara, can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to apply for this?
Hi, my name is Kara, and I was inspired to apply for this because I wanted to represent my community.
Ryan Moser and the Gateway High School Marching Band. Well, I don't know if I can do that.
Toys for Pittsburgh Tykes works in cooperation with over 40 Pittsburgh area police departments to distribute gifts.
What in the world is this beauty?
You know, did you ever wish that the beauty services could come to you?
Thank you so much for being with us. Jeep safely and fun. We're so grateful you're on our parade, and you're gonna throw me something.
Aha! You gotta have some ducks because they're Jeeps. Love it.
Is this a classic Corvette? What year? Oh my, this is a 1994 classic Corvette.
94,
Here.
beautiful.
And you're playing patriotic music. Kids are here. Hi! Hi, little kids. Say hi.
Not only do they perform in the summertime in parades, but they also perform in the wintertime in shows, in gymnasiums, and other venues like that. It's some girls, many of the girls that we're performing today have been in the Corps for 10 years, you know, so it's a very, very family-oriented thing. You know, the kids are very, very close together, even though many of them go to multiple different high schools in the area, you know.
That was such a wonderful parade. I always say in Monroeville, my two favorite days are Memorial Day and the 4th of July, because those are the days where Monroeville's at its best. The community spirit and the pride, all of the residents who line up early along the parade route, just such a wonderful thing to see. So much pride and appreciation in our community. It makes me feel great. And now to the Manager's Minute. I mentioned earlier that we were going to talk about liberty and freedom. July 2025 is 1 year before America's 250th anniversary. So excited about the 250th. I was just a little kid at the 200th bicentennial, so it's pretty exciting to see it this time around. 2026 is also when Monroeville celebrates its 75th anniversary, becoming Monroeville. Before that, we were Patton Township and officially became Monroeville 75 years ago, this January 2026. And with those two celebrations in mind, of course being July, it's important to remember where this all came from. And with me I have the Declaration of Independence. So I just want to read to you something that's really familiar to all of us who watch the program. And it begins in this way. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I'll read the next part that you may not be as familiar with. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Working backwards with the consent of the governed, it reminds me of the importance of what we've talked about on today's show, and that is communications. For how can the governed give consent to be governed without knowing what it is the governing body's up to? Here in Monroeville, we're striving all the time to up our game in communicating to you all that we're thinking about, all that we're doing, and to be as transparent as possible with those decisions. This summer, you've been hearing a lot about the capital improvement program, and specifically elements about building a new public works facility, potentially remodeling and expanding the library, spending money on equipment and other capital purchases. And with that conversation comes really hard decisions like, how do we pay for it all? And will we need to raise taxes in order to pay for these items? And when will this all occur? And each of those decisions are very important because, quite frankly, for example, the decision to tax was a central issue for the Founding Fathers back in the colonial era. It was taxation with representation was one of the rallying cries for why the revolution occurred. And for the governed to have representation, they need to kind of know what's going on. They have to have a full picture of all of the decisions that are before you. And it's not going to be easy at times, and sometimes it'll be kind of messy talking about issues like taxes, particularly because taxes relate directly to freedom. In other words, in as much as we tax money from the taxpayers, that will limit their choices to pursue their happiness and be able to do the thing they want to do. So it's not something we take lightly, that is taxing. It's not something we take for granted, that is the ability to ask for those resources and get those resources through property taxes in the real estate area, or for earned income taxes, or for the taxes that you have with sales taxes. But it's about communicating the value and getting the consent of the governed. Because at the end of the day, the elected officials make the decision. And those elected officials get their office by the votes of people like you, who pay attention, who watch programs like Monroeville at Your Service, who listen to the Manager's Minute. And in November and in the spring, make hard decisions and choices to decide who governs. So as we reflect on all the wonders of July 4th and the liberty and the freedom we have to have such a great country, I want you to know how seriously the elected officials here in Monroeville take the responsibility to continue to earn the consent of the governed to be governed so that they can have liberty and pursue their happiness. With that, thank you for listening to this month's Manager's Minute. Earlier in the show, Jared and I talked about the transition of the TV department becoming the communications department. Part of that will include a stronger presence on social media. We're happy to announce that the municipality of Monroeville now has both Instagram and TikTok pages. We encourage you to follow us on both platforms, with content continuing to flood in as our department evolves. Here are some of the snippets of what you'll find.
I think the best word to really describe is vibrant.
This is fantastic. I want to make some things for like all different seasons. But I don't have a stroller and they're kind of expensive.
They are, which is why you can get them for free at the library.
what about this group?
No, you know, it's by that guy.
It's a lot of fun. The lunches are wonderful.
I'm excited to see what the communications team churns out in the coming months. That's going to do it for today's show. A special thanks for Jared Robinson for joining me, and always thanks to you for watching. I'm Alex Graziani. Until next time, be well and stay blessed.